Easter from Spirit of Unity. I am so happy to be back online, and what better day than Easter when we celebrate new life and victory over every challenge. You know, that kind of reminds me of a story about a little boy who was in Sunday school, and the teacher said, "Today we're celebrating Easter, guys. What is today special about?" And the little boy was so excited because he knew. He raised his hand and the teacher said, "Yes, what is today special about? What's special about Easter?" And he goes, "That's the day that Jesus rose from the dead and the stone was rolled away and he came out of the tomb." And the teacher was so excited, she said, "Yes," because she didn't want to hear anything about the Easter bunny. "Yes, yes, you're right." And then the little boy said, "Yes, yes, and if he sees his shadow, he runs in again for another 6 weeks." Well, that kind of popped her bubble. But you know, it's funny because that's really a kind of even a true story for us in our own growth. You see, Jesus was able to overcome even death because he was able to get past what we call the shadow. The shadow is the part of us that is unenlightened and prevents us from getting where we want to be spiritually. So this is why Easter is so important, and it can remind us that if we don't want to go back in a cave, back in a tomb for another 6 weeks, 6 years, or however long it takes us to overcome our shadow, our unenlightened part, then maybe we want to look at what Easter has to offer us in the message today. To start it off, I'd like to invite you to put your feet into someone else's sandals, in particular the sandals of the disciples. Now, a disciple is one who is a student and a follower of a particular discipline. So that certainly defined the disciples. Well, after Jesus' death and they put him in the tomb, imagine being there. You'd been following this guy for 3 years. He'd been doing amazing things and miracles and raising the dead and manifesting substance, and everything was so great, and they killed him. Did that mean everything was wiped out that he taught? Not only that, they were afraid that they were going to be next, so they went into hiding. Would you go into hiding if you had their sandals on your feet? I don't know. There's a good chance we are, but what if we didn't? What if we got to that point where we could be so grounded that this powerful teaching that Jesus taught actually works and we can overcome as he did? Well, after Jesus died, unfortunately, everything went back to what they called normal. In the Hebrew tradition, they prepared the body for burial, they put it in the tomb, and they rolled a stone in front of it. There was no prayer vigil, no waiting for Jesus to come out. They figured, well, done deal. Until the next morning when the women went to anoint the body, or 3 days later when the women went to anoint the body, which was a normal procedure, and Jesus was not there. That's pretty exciting. Now, that is the day that normal changed and the world was turned upside down. You see, where there may be many questions about what it looked like when Jesus was resurrected. I mean, he did say that, for Thomas, he showed it for Thomas, "Put your finger in the holes in my hands. Put your hand in my side." Where he was saying, look, I'm real. This is real. I don't remember being there, so what I'm going to say is that because this great thing happened, has been reported and followed for these many years, that these disciples who were told, go and take this teaching and spread it, in that switch from disciple, they became apostles who were teachers and carriers of the word. Are you a disciple? Are you an apostle? Because really, you can be both. But what happened? In that early church when those disciples were made to be apostles and sent out to teach the word, it wasn't easy, but there were great miracles happening. They too did the things that Jesus celebrate masses because at that time they were being persecuted. You know that little cute, it's called an ichthys, the little Christian fish? Well, that was a symbol that they would draw outside a catacomb, which was like a kind of a public tomb where they would sometimes have to meet to hide that no one would know they were practicing this radical faith, Christianity. Think about that the next time that it's raining and you kind of sort of don't want to go to church. Think of the risk of going to church, putting your life at risk. We're so fortunate that we can go and we can get a teaching and we can be blessed by it and we can, we can learn and we can grow. Very often, though, we wonder why things don't happen. What happened to those miracles that Jesus did? Well, over time, churches happened. And when churches happened, a religious hierarchy was established. And the fact that Jesus taught us that God is our Father too, and that we can go directly to God with our prayers and desires and requests and everything and be God's beloved child, we had clergy and leaders and bishops and everybody put in between ourselves and God. And it's funny because what happened in that period of time is those who were persecuted, the early Christians who were persecuted, wound up becoming persecutors, if you follow things like the Inquisition, where people were more or less forced to convert. Well, I would never even think about converting anyone because you really can't. See, conversion is an inside job. It's when you hear something and something inside says, that's right, that's true, that's something I can live. And then you learn to live it. Can that not be a wonderful message that we can get from Jesus and from the Easter message? I would invite you to think that, to embrace that in your very own life. There's an old composition called Footprints. And the person says essentially in the composition, I had an amazing dream that I was walking by the beach. And I was walking with the Lord by my side. And I could see scenes from my life come before me over and over again. And behind me, I noticed that there were two sets of footprints. And as the very last scene came before my eyes, I turned and looked behind me. And I noticed that from time to time, there was only one. And that distressed me amazingly. And I said to the Lord, why? Why did you leave me at the worst parts of my life? There's only one set of footprints. And the Lord said, oh, my child, don't you know? Those are my footprints. Those are the times when you were down and I needed to carry you. Wouldn't it be so wonderful to know that God can carry us if we let God carry us in our difficult times, when we stick to the teaching, when we stick to the principles that have been proven to work. Jesus didn't say, oh, I did this and, I'm great and I saved you from your sins. Jesus said, look, you can do this too if you follow me, if you follow the teaching. Do you want those footprints by your side? Actually, I've got another cute little version of that I'd like to share with you. It says, one night I had a wondrous dream. One set of footprints there were seen, the footprints of my precious Lord. But mine were not along the shore. But then some stranger prints appeared. I asked the Lord, what have we here? Those prints are large and round and neat, but Lord, they are too big for feet. My child, he said in somber tones, for miles I carried you alone. I challenged you to walk in faith, but you refused and made me wait. You disobeyed, you would not grow. The walk of faith you would not know. So I got tired, I got fed up, and there I dropped you on your butt. Because in life there comes a time when one must fight and one must climb. When one must rise and take a stand or leave their butt prints in the sand. What are you leaving behind you? Footprints or butt prints? It says in the Bible that many are called. And it goes on to say, few are chosen. But I always question that because this is the way I think it is. Many are called, few choose. If you want to have more wonder, more miracles, more joy in your life, I invite you to follow the teaching, follow the victory, be willing to cross off the error thoughts that keep you from your good. Walk side by side with the teaching. Make it a part of your everyday life. Make God a part of your life. Follow our way shower, Jesus, and you just can't go wrong. So, happy Easter to you, and I'll see you next week.